What is up, gamers? Today we're doing an augment guide for set 10. My goal for this video is to go through every single augment, tell you what they do, and then tell you how you're properly supposed to use it, or when is the indicator to take these type of augments. And just want to say here, a lot of the augments didn't get changed. So if you played a lot of the previous sets, a lot of the augments are very similar. Maybe you play them a little bit differently because a lot of things have changed in the set. But I'm really excited to just explain to you guys how this stuff works. If you guys don't know who I am and why should you listen to me, I've been playing TFT since set 1, and I've been a challenger player since set 4, been making TFT content, for a very long time, and I've played over 150 games on the PBE server in preparation for this video. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. First up, we have AFK. You cannot perform actions for the next 3 rounds. Afterwards, gain 18 gold. This is generally fine to take. It gives you a lot of econ. 18 gold is a lot of gold on stage 2. So this is generally fine to take if you want to have an econ advantage. Just know you're probably going to lose a lot of rounds, and make sure that you commit your items and commit your team before selecting the augment. If you want to commit items and that sort of thing, you will be unable to sell your bench units once the augment portal is open on you. But yeah, this is generally fine to take if you want to just generate an econ advantage. Best friends units isolated in pairs gain 10% attack speed and 10 armor at the start of combat. So you just need to have 2 units next to each other. And at the time we make this video, it does work on some of the units at the beginning of combat, like a target dummy or a Lowie's tentacles. So it does currently work like that, but maybe it won't later. We'll see how that goes. And generally, this is a fine augment to take. I don't like taking this augment really early on in the game when I don't know what my in-game comp is going to be. And in this set, in set 10, you most of the time don't know what your in-game comp is going to be on stage 2. Isn't that quite refreshing? So I actually don't really like generally taking this augment very much, because if you end up playing disco or you end up playing KDA and the configuration is weird for KDA, sometimes you can't actually utilize this augment very well. But, don't let that deter you from taking it. It is generally pretty solid. All right, next up is Blistering Strikes. Your team attacks burn their targets for 5% of their max health over 5 seconds. Attacks also reduce their target's healing received by 33%. This is one of the best general combat augments for silver tier, because then you don't have to be on build healing reduction the whole game. Very nice. I really like this augment. Next up is Blood Money. Gain 3 gold per 10 health your tactician loses. So take this whenever you want to lost streak. You definitely want to lost streak early whenever you take these. You don't just take this and say, screw it, I'm just going to win streak anyways. 3 gold is a lot of gold in the early game. So, generally you'll take this and get, it'd be very arbitrary of me to say a health amount that you're supposed to get to, but you can take this and get down to like 60 health and generate quite a lot of gold in the early game. So you want to leverage this as much as you can in the early game. Only take this if you are comfortable building a very strong comp on stage 3. If you don't know how to do that, or if like the meta is going fast 7 and building this like crazy comp, then that's very good. So just know that you're going to have to build like a stage 3 or stage 4 very strong comp if you take this. So yeah. Next up is Buried Treasures. Gain a random item component at the start of the next 2 rounds. Generally a good augment to take if you just want more items. I think general item power right now is pretty good. Who knows what it'll be after the update, but I think it is pretty good. So this is just a fine augment to take. All right, next up is Caretaker's Ally. Gain a random 2 cost champion now. Gain the same one again every time you level up. So something very important about this, if you pre-leveled before the augment round, meaning that you turned level 4 when the augment portal showed up on 2-1, then do not take this augment because you've already lost value. If you take this augment, it pretty much guarantees you a 3-star 2 cost if you want it. But if you get dropped a 2 cost that is like, what if you just get dropped the 2 cost that is like the worst 2 cost in the game? At the time of making this video, Garen is the worst 2 cost in the game, probably. And so if you get dropped that, I probably won't go for a Garen 3 unless I get like an 8-bit Riven chosen or something like that, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to 3-star unit, but if it's a decent unit and you can build a comp around it and you can look for a chosen that pairs with it or that chosen, then make the 3-star units. You just roll a bit on 6, and then once you get close enough where you can go to 7 or go to 8, and it'll just naturally make the 3-star, then you go do that. Or you can just get this 3-star and reroll other 2 costs. That's fine as well. Additionally, you don't have to do that at all. You can just take the free 2-star that you'll get at level 5 or 6. You can just take the free 2-star 2 cost and just take that. That's fine. Or you actually get at level 5 because you gain 1 now and then every time you level. So just take the free 2-star 2 cost and then just sell the other copies and then just use it for econ. Like that's fine as well. It's a silver augment. It's fine. You don't have to like build your whole comp around a silver augment. All right, next up is Component Anvil. Whenever you would get a component, gain a component anvil instead, gain a random component. So this is just very good, especially if general item power isn't very good. So if like very strict itemization is very strong at that time, like let's say like, you know, like building Jeweled Gauntlet Gunblade is just like OP. Then like you can take this and build that every game. And, you know, if you get this, then you can ensure you get those items, and then you can go into, an AP comp, like you're only comfortable playing AP comps or whatever. This is generally also just fine to take. Like, I just like this augment. You always get to select your components. Very strong general combat augment can be very good, especially good if you're forcing. I don't really know if forcing is going to be very strong in the set. Doesn't feel like it, but we'll see. Especially if you're forcing, this is quite good. Real quick, just want to take this opportunity. If you're gaining value from this video, hey, just real quick, a cost-free way to support me, just press that like button and subscribe button so that my video will show up in your feed more often. You'll get more recommended from me, and then I can get my video out to more people. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. That is a great way to support me that costs you nothing and costs me nothing. Thank you. All right, next up, we have consistency. Gain a double win and loss streak gold. Consistency is better to take if you want to loss streak, because that is something that you can control. It's very difficult unless you're in very low elo. You can probably just win streak if you're kind of like smurfing a little bit. But generally, when you take consistency, just think about it. So you're a down a combat augment, so you probably want a loss streak. But if you like scout the lobby and you look like the strongest person, then go for the win streak. But generally, when you do consistency, you want to lose streak on stage 2, build a strong board for stage 3, and then win streak, and you'll generate so much econ that way. I don't necessarily like this augment too much because it forces me into a play style, but no, I'll take this if I have a super weak opener, and then I can play around this. Very good. All right, next up is cutting corners. Leveling up costs 4 less XP. So I like this augment. Just think about it this way. It essentially just, you know how you have to expend 8 XP in the early game to get to level 5 on 2-5? It essentially will make that to where you don't have to do that. So it saves you 8 gold on stage 2. That is powerful. I like that. It's less relevant the later the game goes on, but saving yourself 8 gold at the beginning of the game, it can be quite powerful. I really like, at the time we make this video, I really like econ augment first at any tier. I'd love taking an econ augment on 2-1. Who knows if they're actually that strong, but my theory around like why it feels so good, and I've seen other players say it feels so good, is twofold. At the time we make this video, and they're going to do an update in the afternoon, so I'm not making any promises on meta. By the time we make this video, 2 and 3 cost reroll is quite strong. And econ augments are very good for that because it gives you a lot of gold injection to make a strong board on stage 3 and stage 4 to help you get to your rerolls and not have to roll super deep. And you can still kind of slow roll, but like also be strong. So econ augments are great for that. And the second thing that econ augments are great for is that they changed the leveling intervals, like the amount of XP it takes to level up for almost every single level, quite a bit. And I think people are still getting used to it. I played over 150 games of the PBE server, and I feel like sort of used to it. I think it'll take another 200 games for me to feel really comfortable with the XP changes. So I just wanted to say that econ augments feel quite nice. All right, Cyber Bulk 1, your champions holding an item gain 222 health. Oh yeah, baby. So this is a generally good combat augment, especially if you haven't committed your items all in one spot yet. But it's just really good if you're going to have extra items, like if you've already taken like buried treasures or something like that, or you're playing like a true damage comp where you're spreading your items out a lot. It can be quite nice. If you have other augments that make you spread out your items, like Scrappy Inventions or whatever, or if you're playing a portal that has extra items, or if you're playing Heart Steals and you know you're going to get a lot of extra items, you can put items in a lot of spot, then Cybernetic is very good. But in general, Cybernetic's just good augments. Same idea with Uplink. Uplink is especially good though if you have a lot of items committed to your backline, because they will generate that mana. It can be quite nice. As well as if you are playing, especially at the higher tier of Uplinks, like let's say you're playing like a Karthus comp and you don't have a mana generation item, which you don't necessarily have to have one. But like I really like it with like something like Karthus, and I can build full damage, and he still generates quite a bit of mana. So it can be quite nice if you need a mana generation item, but you didn't build one. Good for something. Champions that aren't holding items have a 30% chance to drop 1 gold on death. This is generally good if you have like only backline items. When you take this on 2-1, you can play a strong board and just only commit backline items and just have your frontline die. Your frontline will die in pretty much every fight. And then you can gain a little bit of econ that way. Also, if you are just piss weak, you just don't build any items and you have your whole team die. Like if you're going to loss streak already, just put 4 units on your board and, they might make you 4 gold. Very cool. All right, next up is Harm Assist. Your team has 10% Omnivamp and converts 20% excess healing to true damage on their next attack. Take this if you need Omnivamp. If you're playing something like TF and you weren't able to build a Gunblade or a Hodge or something like that, and you really wanted healing on them, take Harm Assist. Very good. Next up, Healing Orbs. When an enemy dies, the nearest ally is healed for 225. I really like Healing Orbs if you're playing a frontline carry like Zed or something like that, or if you are playing a like strict front to back comp where you have like you need to stall a lot of time, like you're playing like Senna, maybe you're playing like Senna Aphelios reroll with true damages and stuff like that, and you really need to buy a lot of time for your Aphelios and your Senna to deal a lot of damage. So this can be a really good way to heal your front line, because your front line is naturally not going to be healing that much from like things like Harm Assist and that sort of thing. This can be very nice to heal your front line. All right, help is on the way. After 6-player combats, choose one of 4 support items. This is just generally fine to take if you're comfortable playing a lot of the support items. This is fine. Indomitable Will. When your team scores a takedown, they shed all negative effects and become immune to crowd control for 10 seconds. This is generally fine to take. It's better the later you take this in the game. I usually don't like taking this on stage 2 or stage 3, but on stage 4 it can be quite good, especially good when you're playing frontline carries. Iron Assets, gain a component anvil and 4 gold. I quite like this augment a lot on 2-1. I think you can only be offered it on 2-1 anyways, because 4 gold is a lot of gold on stage 2 and a component anvil. So a lot of times I'll take this when I have like an item opener, or I have a 3-item opener, like a standard opener. And sometimes I can take this, I can make 10 gold, build 2 or 3 items, like have like a 3-item carry, especially if I'm playing like super fans or something like that early game. And I can meet my 10 gold threshold. Like that is quite nice. I love this. I love this augment. I really like it. Okay, item grab bag, gain 1 random completed item. This is better the earlier you take this on into the game, usually, because this is just good to take. It can give you direction. But if you already have very clear direction in your game, like you built a Sojin and a Jeweled Gauntlet and you have some tank items, like it can be a little risky taking this augment, because what if he pops it out and you get like an even shroud or something like that? Like something like you weren't planning on playing an AD carry at all. You might make you have to kind of change how you build your comp and that sort of thing, or you might just have a dead item. The worst case scenario, that's worst case scenario. It is just a silver tier augment, so it can be just generally fine to take, but it's better the earlier you take it on when you don't have committed items yet, because it can help you establish direction for your comp. Next up is Keepers. Combat start grants units, adjacent allies 150 health shield for 8 seconds. This shield stacks. This is a generally fine combat augment. I don't really like taking this for the same reason I don't like taking Best Friends, is because some of the in-game comps that I'd be willing to play can have some static positioning, and this will make you position in a different way. This is still generally fine. Like you don't have to maximize this value. Like if you just put your whole team on the front line like normal, they'll get 150 health shield. If you want to maximize this, you position it in a little hexagon. This is generally fine to take, but I don't necessarily like it. I don't really like all the positioning augments very much this set. Late game specialist, when you reach level 9, gain 30 gold. Okay, the thing about late game specialists, you only take this if you are really far ahead. Like you know that you're going to go level 9. You don't take this and go, okay, now I'll go level 9. I mean, maybe if you're like on the edge of deciding whether you should fast 9 or not, this can be what pushes you over the edge. But you don't just take this and go, I'm forcing 9. Like that's not real life. So only if you are already really far ahead and looking to go 9 anyways, then you take this. Okay, Latent Forge. After 8-player combats, gain an artifact anvil. This is generally fine to take. Just know you'll be down in combat augment on stage 2. Not a big deal. This is especially good to take. Just keep an eye on the stats. When stats come out after the first week of games and that sort of thing, keep an eye on the stats. And if all of the artifacts are performing really well, then this augment is very good. If the artifacts are not performing well, this augment is not very good. And then just make sure you just keep track of which are the best artifacts, because there's usually a big stratification between all of them. All right, next up is Misconnections. Gain a copy of each 1-cost champion. You'll be offered this on 3-2. I think that's the only time you can be offered it. This is very good if you're re-rolling 1 cost, because it'll just get you closer to your 1-cost re-roll. Make sure that you pick up the orbs very slowly, because if your bench is full, it'll turn into gold, or it might do the indicator where it says like, hey, your bench is full, your bench is full. I'm not sure. I just always make sure I have bench space, and I pick them up slowly and sell them one at a time. So yeah, that can be good for that scenario. Also, if you just like, there's like a 1 cost you're really missing for your comp that's really going to tie it together. For example, Lilia is a unit that really ties things together. She has 3 traits, and especially if you're playing around KDAs or super fans, like she just really ties everything together. And if you're like, man, I really need a Lilia or a Kennen, then this can be very good to help with your comp. Okay, on a roll, when you star up a champion, gain up to 2 free shop rerolls per round, gain 2 gold. So this is very good if you're going for multiple 3 stars. I don't really necessarily like this augment, but yeah, if you're going for a lot of 3 stars and you're rolling, then they can be good. All right, 1, 2, 5. Gain 1 random component, 2 gold, and 1 random 5 cost. I believe you can only get this on stage 4. I don't think you can get this on stage 3. This is generally fine to take if you don't have anything better to take, especially if there are a lot of good 5 costs that will fit into whatever comp direction you have at that time. If the 5 costs are really strong, then this is pretty good. Very good. All right, 1, 2, and 3. You only get this offered on 2-1, I believe. Gain 3 1-cost champions and 2 2-cost champions and 1 3-cost champion. This is very good if you have you start the game and you're just like, man, I don't know what to play, and you don't have any like clear direction, you don't have a good chosen, you don't have any upgraded units, take this. It might upgrade your units, it might give you some more direction, but worst case scenario, it's just, you know, 3, 7, wait, hold on, 3, 7. This is 10 gold. Worst case scenario, it's 10 gold. So you could just take this beginning of the game, it's 10 gold. That's not bad. Pandora's Bench. I'm not sure Pandora's Bench is in the game anymore. I have not seen it a single time. It would make sense to me if it's removed, but I'll still tell you how to use it if it is in the game. Gain 2 gold at the start of every round. Champions on the 3 rightmost bench slots transform into random champions of the same cost. So when you take this, you want to go for 3 stars. So generally the easiest way to use this is to go for like 3-star 3 cost or 2 cost. And you just put those, the costs that you want to roll for, you put them onto those hexes. And sometimes you'll even upgrade. So let's say you're looking for like an Echo 3-star, and you know, you can make like a Lulu 2-star and put it on the hex to try to make your Echo 3-star. That can be quite good. The other way to use this when you're really far ahead is to go for 4 cost 3 stars. You just look around and scout the lobby and see what is uncontested, and you go for that 3-star 4 cost. And with the decreased bag sizes, it's actually a lot easier to hit 3 stars if you're uncontested on 4 costs especially. That's why I think this is probably not in the game anymore. It would make sense to me that this is not in the game because that sounds very abusable for 4 costs. Okay, Pandora's items. Round star items on your bench are randomized except Tactician's Crown and Spatula. Gain 1 random component. So this is good if you're forcing, like especially if you are, like let's say you're only good at playing AP comps and you have a lot of AD items at the beginning of the game, you might want to take Pandora's items. Or if for whatever reason we're in a very degenerate meta where, you know, forcing 1 or 2 comps is the best way to play the game. I don't think that's why it's going to be on launch, and I think we'll see what happens. But then you want to take Pandora's items, or if your items are just horrendous, like you just got dropped 3 cloaks, and you're just like, what do I do with 3 cloaks? I have no item direction. Then take this. Partial Ascension. After 15 seconds of combat, your units deal 30% more damage. So take this if you're playing like a stall comp, you know, like I was talking about, if you're playing like a Senna rapid fire comp with a bunch of big frontline, big guardians, true damage, that sort of thing. They can be quite good in like standard front to back comps like that. Also, additionally, if other people are playing a lot of slow front to back comps, and this can be very good for you. Even if you're playing kind of a burst style comp, it can still be good if the rest of the people in the lobby are playing stall comps. Next up is Pumping Up. Your team gains 8% attack speed now, and each round after they gain a little bit more, and there are multiple tiers of this. This is generally fine to take in most compositions, especially if you're going to be playing like AD carries or AP carry casters who have a lot of mana. So this is generally fine. It's not very good if you're playing like an Ahri Akali comp or something like that, because they don't really benefit that much from attack speed. So, but generally this can be fine to take. It's not super strong when you take it, but it does scale out throughout the game. I kind of like it because it just feels kind of good, but it's okay. All right, reach Summit. When you reach level 9, gain 50 XP. Only take this if you are giga far ahead. And yeah, this is happening on this website right now. Very frustrating, but only take it if you are giga far ahead, and because you'll have to go to level 10. It gives you XP, it doesn't give you gold. So yeah. Anyways, Recombobulator. Champions on your board permanently transform into random champions 1 cost tier higher into magnetic reviewers. I believe you can only be offered this on 3-2 or 4-2. So this is the times when you want to take this is if you don't really have very clear direction. You're like, you know, I'm ready to flip a board. If you have a really strong board and really good direction, you probably don't want to flip your board. The other instance where you definitely want to do this, or you can take this risk, even if you do have a strong board, you can take this risk. If you already have a 2-star 3 cost, it'll transform into a 2-star 4 cost. Or if you have a 4 cost on your board, it'll transition into a 5 cost. That can be quite good. But, you know, especially if you don't have a really strong direction, but you just have random upgraded units, it's very good in that scenario. But if you already are very strong and you're very happy with your board, usually it's not worth to take the risk to go for a random 4 cost, but it can be. So just know that. All right, risky moves. Your tactician loses 20 health, but after 7-player combats, gain 30 gold. Generally, when you take risky moves, this is can be very good econ augments if you're already ahead. You're going to get this offered at 2-1. If you have a strong board and you feel like you can streak or at least win most of your rounds on stage 2, you're building a strong board, that's when you want to take this one. There are better econ augments to take if you want to loss streak, because if you try to loss streak with this, you'll just be so low. Now, they did reduce the amount of health. It used to be 30, so maybe you can loss streak with this, especially if you know how to build, you guarantee you know how to build a very strong board that will win out on stage 3 and stage 4. If you feel very confident about that, you can probably loss streak with this and just get an insane econ advantage. But usually you'll play a strong stage 2 and then get that huge gold injection on stage 3, and then you can go for like a fast 7 or a fast 8 and build a strong in-game board. because if you want to try to go fast 8 or something like that, you don't want to lose a lot of health before you get there, and you're already opting in to lose 20 health. So usually you take this and try to play a strong board, but if you feel very confidently that you can win out on stage 3 or stage 4 after you get the gold injection, then you could potentially lost streak, but you're going to be quite low. All right, rolling for days, gain 8 free shop rerolls that never expire. I don't really like this augment, but I'll take this augment sometimes when I know I need the roll, but I'm piss poor. Then I'll take this so that I can make something better. I think this actually improved a little bit in this set because it'll show you more chosens, so that can be quite nice. Silver Spoon, gain 10 XP. This, you can only be offered this at 2-1. You gain 10, essentially you just gain 10 gold. You get an early level 4 and an early level 5. It can be quite nice. I generally just like this augment. It can be quite nice, and you want to try to win streak if you take this. But if not, 10 gold at the beginning of the game is a lot of gold. All right, next up is Silver Ticket. Gain a free shop reroll after every 4 rerolls. So take this if you're going for a lot of 3 stars. Can be quite nice. Silver Veil, your team gains 5% attack speed and is immune to the first crowd control effect in combat. This is generally fine to take. I don't necessarily like this augment a whole lot, but it can be fine. Better to take later on in the game. Spoils of War, enemies who have a 25% chance to drop loot when killed. Whenever you take this, you want to play like a psychopath. This is the Draven augment. Now, Spoils of War 1 is less psychopathy because it's only a silver tier, so you don't like trash your game when you take this. You want to take this if you have a really strong early game, and then you commit your items because you generate econ by being strong. If you take this augment and you're not willing to play like really aggressive, like early level to 5, or slam all of your items, then you should not be taking this augment. Only take this augment if you're willing to play like a psycho. So yeah, don't take this when you like start the game with no direction. Fuck it, Spoils of War time. No, like you take this when you like, okay, I have a pretty strong opener. I think I could streak. I think if I push levels, I can kill a lot of units. There is a little bit of risk involved, it's only 25%. But Spoils of War 1 is actually my favorite of the Spoils of War because the opportunity cost is so low. Because you're taking an econ augment that requires you to be strong, and other people might be taking combat augments. So if you're taking the Prismatic tier, you better be strong because other people are taking combat augments. So, and you're having to try to play like a psycho to farm. Like it's very hard. So Spoils of War 1 is the best one, and Spoils of War 2 is solid if you have a really strong board. I hardly ever take Spoils of War 3 because it's too hard to have that set up usually. Next up, Stationary Support, 7-player combats, gain 1 training dummy with a permanently attached support item. This used to give you a training dummy and then would delay the support item, and that was so broken. So now it's just a little bit delayed. This is fine to take. I don't really like this augment too much, but if support items are really good, you feel comfortable with a lot of support items, then this can be quite good, can be fine. Sticks and Stones, champions that aren't holding items shred and sunder enemies for 3 seconds. Physical damage sunders, and then magic damage is for shred. This is very good general augment. So if you take this, just make sure you have a unit that is next to your main carry. Like let's say you're playing like an Ahri carry, and then you have a no itemized Lulu. Put that Lulu next to your Ahri, and then she'll shred for your Ahri. Very good. Very good general augment. Better the later you take this usually, but it's fine in the early game as well. So yeah, it's fine in the early game. Okay, Stim Pack, gain 4 components after you lose 50 player health. So you'll be offered this on 2-1. Take this on 2-1, try to lose 50 health. So you go for full loss streak, and then you get the 4 components. And then if you take this, you probably want to build a win out comp on stage 3, stage 4, something like that. Like a fast 7 comp or something. All right, switching gears, gain 2 gold whenever you break your win or loss streak. This is kind of like inconsistency. I like this. Generally very good very good econ augment. So take this if you are, in a position where you're not going to streak either way or the other, and you think you're going to win loss, you generate a lot of econ. Team building, gain a lesser champion duplicator, gain another after 7 player combats. This is especially good if you are planning on rerolling a 2 or 3 cost. Like let's say we're in a 2 or 3 cost reroll meta. You could take this at the beginning of the game and just know that you're going to have 2 duplicators later. So you can 2-star an early 3 costs and get a lot of tempo, that sort of thing. Or, you can save this to get your 3 stars, and that can be quite good. Also, this is just generally good to take if you're already streaking and you think like, man, I don't want to roll, but if I had this set 2-star right now, I could go fast 8. Then you take this and you can go fast 8 now because you duplicate the set. You're good to go. All right, teaming up, gain 1 random component and 2 random tier 3 champions. This is generally just fine to take. Can help you get direction, especially if there's a lot of good tier 3 champs in the game. Tiny Titans increase your current and maximum health by 30. Generally, whenever you take Tiny Titans, you take this because you already have strong item direction. Like let's say you start the game with a Rageblade Infinity Edge. Okay, you're playing an AD comp. Like that feels pretty good. And then you can take this and you have 30 extra health. Cool. And just you can just take this and be fine. Like you can just play the game like normal. Also, you can leverage this health advantage by taking the 30 health and then just like open forwarding. If you already have like decent item direction and you don't even have to commit your items, but generally you don't want to take this if you don't have decent item direction already, because you're going to pick last on carousel, even if you're lost streaking. So yeah, you can just, if you have good item direction already and you want to win streak, you can just take this and win streak. It's not a big deal. You're just always going to pick last. But if not, leverage that 30 health and just lose 30 health on stage true, open fort, gain a big econ advantage, and then you have a huge econ advantage and 100 health going into stage 3 can feel quite nice. Okay, unified resistance. If you have 3 or more champions in the same row at the start of combat, they all gain armor and magic resist. Generally, a good augment. It's especially good on guardians and bruisers because they have a lot of HP or a lot of effective HP with guardians. And the bruisers have a lot of HP. It's not necessarily as good with sentinel front lines, but this is just a general fine augment to take. It's fine. Vampirism, your team gains 20 health and then another 4 health and 1% omnivamp per 5 missing health. I don't really know how to feel about this augment. Sometimes I take this and it feels really good. So if you're already low, this can be very good to take because it can be very good for, just give you some omnivamp. This is very annoying that this is doing this. I tried to use a different stats website, but this is my preferred stat website and it be bugging right now. Anyways, but yeah, if you're already low health, this can be very good omnivamp for your team. You don't really want to take this and like opt into a loss streak unless you already were thinking about it anyways. But this augment has felt really good to me sometimes and then sometimes not so. I don't ever take this on purpose, but when I take it, it does feel good sometimes. I don't know how to feel about it. But if you're already low, it's very good. Young, wild, and free, you can always move freely on carousel rounds and gain 3 gold. I really like this augment on 2-1, especially if you like feel like you're going to be really strong in that game. But just the 3 gold and always being able to pick first. Like I know I'm going to grab that legendary on stage 4. I'm going to grab the 4 cost whenever it pops up. Like it feels really good. I really like this augment. Just remember that you have it. Say in your head before augment rounds, if you take this, say, I am young, wild, and free. I am young, wild, and free. I get my chat to just type that to me if I take this because I will always forget. All right, now on to the gold tier augments. First up, we have Cut Above, gain a Deathblade. Champions holding a Deathblade have a 20% chance to drop 1 gold on kill. This is generally a fine augment to take because you get a Deathblade, especially if Deathblade is a good item and you're comfortable playing AD comps and maybe you have an upgraded backliner AD. You have like a Jinx 2 starting the game or you have like an Aphelios chosen, something like that. Take this, try to make econ with it. Very good. Even if you don't make a lot of econ, you do start the game with a completed Deathblade. That's pretty good. Ascension, we already talked about. Balanced budget at the start of the next 4 rounds, gain 7 gold. So if you're feeling really low on econ, take this. I usually don't take this if I'm already pretty ahead on econ unless I'm going to try to do some fast 9 shenaniganery, something like that. Generally, I'll just take a better augment. I don't really like this augment that much, but if you're really behind on econ, you're like, man, I'm so poor, but I could be strong, then take this. We already talked about best friends. Big gains, your team gains 80 bonus health and permanently gains 10 health over every 2 takedowns. This is very good if you're rerolling. I played a game of this last night where I was already punk rerolling. Like I knew I was going to play punk, already had punk chosen. I had 4 punk units already. It was kind of nuts. Or I had rapid fire Jinx chosen and then I had the 4 punk units. So I was like, oh, cool. And then I took this and my Jinx throughout the game generated like 700 health for herself. So she was a giga tank. I didn't have to build Omnivamp on her because she was just a tank. My team got really tanky. So yeah, take this if you're going to reroll. Big grab bag, 3 random components, 2 gold and 1 reforger. Generally fine to take, especially if you just need more items or you don't have very good item direction or your items are really bad. And take this and maybe your items won't be so bad anymore. Bigger shot. This is just a big shot augment. Not going to talk about it. If you're playing big shots, you can take this. I'm not going to talk about these ones that are super specific, like blinged out. Take this if you're playing a lot of true damage or you're carrying Senna or something like that, or carrying Yasuo, whatever. Bounty hunters, again, another trait specific augment. Not going to talk about those. You take them when you're playing those traits. Buried treasures, already talked about it. Capricious forge, gain a blacksmith's gloves, which equips 2 random artifacts each round. This can be very good, especially if you have another carry in your comp that you can't itemize, or a very powerful unit like a legendary or a 4 cost that you just can't commit items to, but you'd like to have items. Then take this and you can build some items. It's especially good if you're playing stuff like executioners as well. Like Akali is probably the best user of this because it gives her crit chance, and that sort of thing. I think it's better on frontliners because there's a lot of frontline artifact items like frontline carries or like very powerful tanks, like a 5 cost or like a blitz or something like that. I really like putting those on them. This is very good to like push your advantage as well. If you're already ahead, you're ahead on items and you're like, okay, let's just get even further ahead on items. Let's go. It can be quite nice. Caretaker's favor, gain a component anvil whenever you reach level 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so you get to pick them. So it's kind of like buried treasures, but you get the items later. Generally can be fine to take. Just know that you are going to have to go to level 8 to get all the items. Don't like try to like go fast 8. Like this doesn't mean you have to go fast 8 or anything like that. Play the game like normal. but you probably don't want to play like a 2 and 3 cost reroll if you want to take this augment. Clear Mind, again, I like a lot of the econ augments this set right now, and in Clear Mind is one of them. If there are no champions on your bench at the end of player combat, gain 3 XP. So generally, whenever you take this, you just commit units to your board that can give you as much board strength as you can, and you have to keep your bench empty. Or you can just open fort, sell everything, and then just get a huge econ advantage. That can be a way to play this. And then so generally, whenever you take Clear Mind, you want to like go quickly to a certain level, like go to level 7 usually, go fast 7 or fast 8. It sometimes can be very hard to go fast 8 in this set. So you can go like fast 7 and then roll for a really strong board and then sell your bench again and then go 8. Roll again on 8, build a really strong board, sell your bench again, and then go to 9, and that sort of thing. Like that's usually how you want to play it. You're going to be weak early game for sure whenever you take this, unless like you just magically get very strong for fun. And then like, yeah, throughout the game, like don't try to like greed too much. Just roll at those spots. And then if you think you can go 8 or think you can go 9, then sell your bench. You can always go 8 when you do this if you're rolling 7. But like a lot of times you can go 9 by building a strong level 8 comp and then, 2-starring up your pairs and then selling the excess and then going 9 and then build an even stronger comp. Okay, Cluttered Mind, which I prefer a little bit more. Cluttered Mind, you're not going to be able to hit your econ thresholds as easily in the early game because you're going to be holding a lot of units, but I really like it because I get to hold a lot of units and I can roll anytime I want and I can build a lot of board strength. So you gain 4 random 1-cost champions now. If your bench is full at the end of player combat, gain 3 XP. So notice it says player combat. So you can sell your bench on, you can sell some bench units on PvE. Just know that you're going to have to refill your bench up again. So don't sell too many usually. And the same thing with Clear Mind. You can hold the units that you get dropped from PvE, but you just need to sell them in the next round. Combat Caster, your team gains a shield for 6 seconds after shielding. After casting the ability, the shield amount scales with the round of the game. I'm not sure what comp is like OP with this right now. Maybe like some Spellweaver with Hyperpop stuff can be quite good with this. So like it's probably very good on Ahri. But I don't really necessarily like this augment too much right now. But if you have units that are casting very often, you don't have any Omnivamp built, it can be quite good. Like sometimes I'll take this to be like, all right, this is my Omnivamp, I guess, this game. Like if I needed Omnivamp. And so sometimes I'll take it and it'll just be that. But yeah, I'm not sure what comp like really uses this super well. Like last set, it was like Invokers, obviously. I'm not really certain right now, but probably Spellweavers with Hyperpops or Dazzlers. Okay, Contagion. Combat start, the highest health enemy takes 18% more damage. Every 5 seconds, this effect spreads to 2 nearby enemies. This is especially good in stall metas like this combined with like Ascension or something like that in a very slow meta. If you have a very slow front to back comp, it can be very, very, very good. But in general, this is just a fine combat augment as well. 18%, it helps you kill tanks. Can be quite nice. Okay, Crash Test Dummies. Gain 2 target dummies. Combat start, your target dummies launch themselves towards the largest clump of enemies and stun them for 2 seconds. Note, you can actually backline these target dummies and they will jump at the beginning of the combat. So if you have a huge frontline comp, you can put your frontline up there and then these will jump as well. But a lot of times I'll put them next to my tank because I want them to take aggro first and then jump because I want these Crash Test Dummies to die before my tanks die. Unless I really need my tank to take damage to cast. Know that. This is very good if you just need more frontline. You're playing like a front back comp and your frontline is not very good, take this. Or you're playing like a comp where your frontline just is piss weak. Just in general, take this, gives you more frontline. Crown Guarded. I really like these these augments. There's a few more that are like Crown Guarded, where it gives you an item and then that item is more effective. So gain a Crown Guard. Your Crown Guard start combat effect is 75% stronger. I really like this if you already have a Crown Guard or you have a component to build a Crown Guard. You have like a chain or a rod. Taking this on 2-1. You build a Crown Guard on one of your tanks, and then you solo frontline that tank for most of the game because you want to make sure you get that Crown Guard value. And then you want to build 2 usually, and then commit them to the same unit. Committing 3 to the same unit is very not very good because their shield will be so large it doesn't even get popped, even like on stage 5 sometimes. But if you end up building 3, try to spread them like 2 on one, 1 on the other, or you build 2 more. If you build 4. Ooh, you can put 2 on one tank, 2 on the other, and then just duo frontline those at the end of the game. That can be quite nice. I really like this augment. Gives you an item, gives you good stuff. Especially good if you're playing like Super Friends and you get an item, you get the Super Friend items, you build an item. Like you can be so strong early on in the game. We already talked about Cybernetics. Do it for the fans. Your headliner damage heals your super fans for 22% of damage dealt. Gain an R. I've had a lot of trouble making this augment work, but it can work for sure if you have if you're like rerolling Gnar or something like that. You have like a super tank Gnar and maybe you rerolled Kennen as well. Like if your super fans are actually super valuable, then this can be a good augment take because you can keep them alive for a long time and make them very strong. Or if one of your dudes are the super fans, like a Gnar is the headliner, like that can be good. But don't take this if you're just playing super fans to get the super fan trait active because you're only healing your super fans. That's all it does. So not very good there. This is emo specific. Not going to talk about this. Encore, the first time your headliner dies, they become invulnerable and heal 60% of their max health over 1.5 seconds. It's kind of like having Azonias, but not as powerful. So this is especially good on frontliner headliners. But it can be fine on backliners as well. Generally fine. I'm not really sure like when is the best spot to take this, but probably when you're playing frontliner headliners. Anyway, oh God. Okay, escort quest, gain a training dummy. You gain 3 gold every time it survives combat. Only take this if you are really strong, like really far ahead. And then usually this escort quest, training dummy, you want to position it like in front of your backline, like on 3rd row, something like that. So it will tank if it has to, because you do want it to tank if you need it to tank, because you need to win the round. Like either way, like you know, like you generally, that's how you want to put it. You don't want to put it on the front because it'll die immediately. And then you don't want to put it like in the corner, because like if your carry dies, then it doesn't matter anyways. Your thing's going to die. So usually you put it on the 3rd row, and then there's going to be a lot of people lost streaking. You'll just roll those guys. You get the cash out. You get 3 gold. I think it's actually 2 gold now. You get the gold. Actually, it might be 3 gold. You get the gold. And then if not, it just provides frontline in those matchups where you may have lost. It can sometimes win you the round. So yeah, usually you put it on 3rd row in front of your carry. This is the executioner one. This is a punk one. I'm going to talk about this one. Frequent flyer, after your reroll, after you reroll your shop 8 times, rerolls only cost 1 gold. This is very good if you are about to roll down for a reroll comp, or if reroll comps are really meta. Like for example, I didn't get presented with very good augments yesterday in one of my games. I think I actually placed very well in this game. But yeah, I think this was a Vex reroll game I played. So if you know you're going to reroll or you're already rerolling, this can be good to take. But for example, in the meta that we're playing right now, before the update, who knows what'll happen after the update today. But 2 and 3 cost rerolls are very strong. So I got this offered at the beginning of the game and I took it because my other augments were not very good. And I go, okay, I'm rerolling 3 costs. We're good. It's all good. And that's what I did. And I think I played Vex 3 and I may have first placed that game. I'm not sure. I think I placed very well. All right, fully adaptive, gain an adaptive helm. Champions holding this item gain both effects regardless of position. So very good augment. You get the adaptive helm, and the adaptive helm is stronger. I really like this augment. I really like the item augment, especially good if you're playing something like super fans. Because if you get this offer at the beginning of the game, you can have so many items. Yeah, if you have 3 item tank at the beginning of the game, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then you also have more items built. That's crazy. Anyways, all right. Gargantuan resolve. Gain a Titan's resolve. Your Titan's resolve can continue to stack to 40 up to instead of 25. And especially take these augments, all of these augments, if you already have a component to build another one, or you already have the components to build another one already. Both components, like be very strong. Generally, when you take Gargantuan resolve, you want to play like a tanky frontline carry, or like something like a Zed with a BT, like that's generally what you want to do. Gifts from the Fallen, your team gains 3% attack damage, 3 ability power, 3 armor, 3 magic resist. Every time an ally dies, gain these stats again. This is very good when you're playing a comp where your carry is going to be the last one alive, like a standard front to back comp, like a Senna comp, something like that. Like at the end of the fight, every time your Senna is going to be the last one left alive. Be very good like that. If you have like duo carry comp or a solo carry comp, where if you win the fight, they're always the last one left alive anyways, then it can be quite good. Golden ticket, take this if you're rerolling. Very cool. Already talked about this one. Yep. Heartthrobs, very specific to heartthrobs. Heavy hitters, your units with 1500 max health gain attack damage and ability power equal to 1% of their max health. So this is very good when you're rerolling, especially if you're rerolling punks, because you're going to reroll a bunch of 3 stars that punks gain HP naturally. You can get a lot of stats. So this is very good when you're rerolling. Heroic grab bag, gain 2 lesser duplicators, 2 gold. I don't necessarily like this augment that much. It's like a more expensive version of a silver tier augment, but because you get the lesser duplicators immediately, take this if you're rerolling and you feel like you really need these, but I generally try to not take this augment. This is if you're playing a bunch of Guardians. Idealism, gain a Hand of Justice. Champions holding this item gain deal 12% bonus, increased damage. Take this, especially if you have another component to build a Hodge. But this could just be really good, especially if you think you have streak potential. It can be very good to take. And a Hodge is a pretty flexible item in the set because there's a lot of units that can crit naturally. Like if you have Lux Chosen, you don't even want to build Joe Gauntlet, build a Hodge on her. You're playing Executioners, Hodge is great. Hodge is great on all frontline carries, so I like this augment. Infusion, your team gains 20 mana every 5 seconds. So generally I'll take this if I have a lot of casters, or if I'm playing like a big vertical like Spellweaver, something like that. And I'm like, my Spellweavers are very strong, but I can't commit items to any of them other than just Ari and maybe Seraphine. Then I can take this and then I can make all my Spellweavers very strong. Also very good if you weren't able to build a mana generation item. You're playing like Karthus, like, man, I really wish Karthus could make some mana. It can be very good if you take this. I'm not going to talk about this one. Inspiring Epitaph. When a unit dies, the nearest ally gains a 30% max health shield and 10% stacking attack speed. This is generally just fine to take, especially if you're playing something. I really like this when I'm playing like Urgot carry, because he's really near the front line. I'll position him by my, I'll position him with my tanks, with my tank line, and then he'll keep getting the shield, stacking attack speed. So I think it's especially good with frontline carries, but in general, it's just fine. It buys you a lot of time. Jeweled Lotus, your team gains 15% crit chance and their abilities can critically strike. So take this, especially if you're playing something like Executioners, and can help scale it up, unless you're playing like vertical Executioners. But if you only play like 2 Executioners, it's gonna be very good. Help you crit more. Or if you're playing champions where you really wanted to build crit, especially if you're playing like Spellweavers, and you weren't able to build Jewel Gauntlet or something like that, can be quite nice. General, pretty strong combat augment. It's usually better the later you take it in the game. Keepers, already talked about it. Know your enemy. Your team deals 10% more damage. Deal 15% more damage instead if you and your opponent have any of the same traits active. This is better the later game later in the game you take it. And if you're playing a horizontal comp, meaning you have a lot of different traits active, this can be very good. I in general don't like to just take this as a general augments, but sometimes it's the best you can take, and sometimes it'll be really good. Last stand, the first time you would be eliminated, you escape death, and your team permanently gains a bunch of stats. So take this if you're already very low, you're already on like 1 life or 2 life, and you think like, man, like I'm like, I might be the strongest player in the lobby, but I might have one bad matchup or something like that. This can be very good because you get that one bad matchup, and then it can get you a top 4, even if you have a really bad matchup, if there's somebody who just is like giga high roll. So it can be really good if you're already low, or if you are thinking about greeting for like a fast 9 or something like that. This can give you an extra life to go fast 9 and help ensure your win out if you build a legendary comp. Learning the spell, your team gains 10 ability power and permanently gains 1 ability power every 2 takedowns. Take this if you're going to reroll an AP comp. Very good. Little Buddies, your 4 and 5 cost champions gain 150 health and 10% attack speed for every 1 and 2 cost champion on your board. I don't really like this augment very much because I don't know if I'm going to be playing a lot of 1 and 2 costs, but there are some comps, like, for example, Spellweavers in KDA, they use a lot of 1 and 2 cost comps, a lot of 1 and 2 cost units, because you use Lilia, Kennen, that sort of thing. Seraphine, so like can be good if you're playing a comp like that, but I'm not really sure the other instances you necessarily want to take this. Probably if you're not even if you're rerolling, because if you're rerolling, the strong units are your cheap units. So I'm not sure. I don't really like taking this augment. This is Edgelord. LDP, Combat Star, your 2 furthest units from each other form a bond, sharing a bunch of their stats. So yeah, make sure you just position for this. If you have like, for example, you're playing like a duo rapid fire carry comp like Senna and Aphelios, and just they go in the corners, and then make sure that your front line is not all the way extended, because there'll be a little hard indicator, and you can do like that. Very good in duo carry comps, very strong. Especially if you're like re-rolling, like you do like Urgot Samira and you're re-rolling them, and then they share tons of AD, can be quite nice. Low interest rates, another econ augment. I like econ augments a lot on 2-1. Your max interest is capped at 2 gold, but you gain 2 gold at the start of every combat. Just think about it like this: when you're at 20 gold, it's like you're at 40 gold. That's pretty good, and you can hit that pretty early on in the game. So I think this is very strong econ augment early in the game, and allows you to play aggressive. And so when I take this, I generally like to play very aggressive with my gold, especially on stage 3, like on level 6, level 7, because I can roll down the 20 gold and not feel bad. And even if I roll down the 0, I'm still generating like I have 20 econ. So I like to, if you take this, you're going to be a little bit weak early on in the game, but you have so much econ advantage at the beginning of the game. I like to be very strong on stage 3, stage 4. Just basically after stage 2, I'm just strong for the rest of the game, and that can feel quite nice. This is very annoying, man. Tools, fix your website, big man. But it's all good. Anyways, where were we at? So we have Lucky Streak. So this will give you a Gambler's Blade and a Magnetic Remover. I don't really like Gambler's Blade that much as an item, but if you have like a Rage Blade, you have like a Jinx 2-star and some good frontline, you can take this, generate a lot of gold in the early game. Not a very good item later, but if you have a big frontline and an attack speed carry, can be very good. Magic Wand, gain a needlessly large rod. Your team gains 18 ability power. So if you're already opting into an AP comp, or like, then this can be very good. Or if like, man, I really need a rod, then I'll take this, and then and then I can build my AP items, and I'll have my rod, and I'll play an AP comp. Can be very good. Mana Burn, all enemies take 1% of their max health as true damage for each second they until they cast their ability, gain a Shroud of Stillness. This is very good the later you take it on in the game, especially if you already have a Shroud of Stillness. Can be quite good, because then you can have 2 Shrouds. Very, very good. Very good late game augment. Martyr, when one of your allies die, your team heals for 9% of their maximum health. Can be quite good if you are playing like a standard front to back comp, and you weren't able to build healing. You can feel quite nice. Better the later you take this augment. Metabolic Accelerator, gain 2 player health after every player combat. Your tactician also moves faster. Generally, when you take this augment, you want to loss streak early game. You take this on 2-1. You want to loss streak so that you can get the first carousel. At first carousel, you can get some good stuff. Maybe you like force in Heart Stealers or something like that. And then like you'll make a very strong stage 3, stage 4 comp, and you'll gain all of your HP back. If you end up taking this and win streaking, who cares? You're at 100 health. That's great too. All right, Metalheads. So we're not going to talk about that. Not today. Gain an Edge of Night. Champions holding this item gain a 35% attack speed. So take this if you already have an Edge of Night, or if you are like so down to play frontline carries. You're so down to play like Crowd Divers or something like that. Then this can be very good. Pandora's items. Already talked about this. Patient Study. After player combat, gain 2 XP if you won, or if 3 XP if you lost. This is just generally a good combat augment. You really don't, or econ augment. You don't really have to like leverage the loss streak. But if you can loss streak, it's going to be very good. But if not, that's fine too. Like 2 XP per round is very good as well. If you're win streaking, if you're at 100 health and you're gaining 2 XP, do extra gold per round, that's cool. If not, and you loss streak, that's cool too. So, you can leverage a loss streak, but you can also just take it and play like normal. That's fine too. I like this augment. Portable Forge, choose 1 or 2 augments. Take this if the Ornn augments are pretty good. Additionally, you can take this if like a lot of times I'll take this if I don't have good items, don't have good item direction. I'll take it. All right, please give me some item direction. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it does. And then the other time I like taking this is if just generally the Ornn items are good, or if like I just really want a 3 item carry and I want to leverage. Same thing with all the other portable forges. Already talked about these. Raise the tempo when your spellweavers. Oh, we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about this. Remember your roots. Ally sharing a trait with your headliner, gain 200 health and 10% attack speed. This is very good if you're playing a vertical comp where you're playing like I don't know 7 spellweavers or something like that. So all of your spellweavers are benefiting from. If you're running like 7 spellweaver, you have spellweaver chosen, spellweaver KDA. And you're playing a lot of spellweavers and KDA, then all of them will benefit this. Also very good if you're playing a duo carry comp and they share a trait, like you're playing like executioner, Kali chosen or something like that, and then you also have you're duo carrying just the executioner units, then all the executioner units will benefit from this. But it's better the more vertical you play. But don't take this and think you have to play vertical. Return on investment, when you re-roll your shop 18 times, gain a tactician's crown. So take this if you're about to roll it down. If you already rolled it down, then don't take this. Rich get richer, gain 12 gold. Your max interest is up to 7. So generally you'll take this on 2-1. This will all be offered on 2-1. This one is offered on 3-2. Take this and you want to get to that 70 gold. Usually you'll go fast 7 or fast 8 whenever you take this, and then make a really strong board, and you probably won't be able to leverage this for the rest of the game. This is just an early game thing, but if you can make an insanely strong board on stage 3 or stage 4, and then you can use the 70 gold to try to go fast 9 after that if you went fast 8, or if you went fast 7 or fast 8, and then you build a really crazy board, you can start to leverage that up again and then go level 9. It's usually how you use that. Same thing with Rich Get Richer Plus. Don't really like this one though. Salvage bin, gain 1 random completed item now, 1 component after 7 combats. Selling champions break completed items into components. So I don't necessarily like taking this augment that much, but if you want to commit some early game items that aren't going to be very good for your comp later, like sometimes that we're in metas like that, where like building Ecstatic Shiv, Sunfire, that's going to win you a lot of rounds early game, but maybe you don't want those items don't really want those later, and you want to play really flex, then you can do this, but it does require a lot of mental agility to play this, so I don't necessarily recommend this for beginners either, or people who are very uncomfortable with the set. Wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Okay, Scapegoat, gain a training dummy and 2 gold. This is the first to die each player combat, gain 1 gold. This is a very strong augment. I love this augment. Gives you frontline and gives you gold. So on all of stage 2 and stage 3, you'll just solo frontline the Scapegoat. And then on stage 4, you can decide whether you want to do that. And then once you get to like stage 5, you generally don't want to solo frontline this anymore because you kind of want to position like normal. But just put it on the wing so it dies first most of the time. I love this augment. Scrappy inventions, up to 5 equipped components turn into completed items for the rest of combat. Gain a component at the start of the next 2 stages. So take this, especially if you have an item opener and you just commit items a bunch of places. It can be very good for win streaking, and you just put components a bunch of places. Very good if you have true damage chosen as well, because true damage is a comp where you want to spread your items a lot anyways. But yeah, if you take this, you generally want to be very strong in the early game. And falls off a little bit later because late game, you definitely want to have 3 items committed to a carry. Tank items aren't as important right now, but if tank items become more important again later, then usually when you're in your endgame comp, you want to have 3 items on a carry, 3 items on a tank, or 3 items on 2 different carries. So you want to try to get to that in a later game, and then try to maximize the scrappy inventions whenever you start to get extra components and that sort of thing, or if you have ways to generate extra components. But yeah, very good for early game streaking. So take this if you want to streak early game. I'm not going to talk about this. Shock treatment, gain a static shiv. Your static shiv chain lightnings are more effective. And the scales with stage. So this is very good if you already have like a Rage Blade or you have components to build another static shiv. Keep them, this can be very meta dependent on whether you want to have 2 static shivs or not, but you know, it can be very good if you start the game with like a Jinx 2-star and you know, you have a static shiv and a QSS or a static shiv and a Rage Blade, you know, so you can take this, can be very good for streaking, or just like general, give you a lot of board strength. And then, you know, you can use that and just play attack speed carry the whole game and just build an AD comp with that or whatever. Or you can take this and, you know, utilize the shred that the static shiv gives you and play an AP comp, whatever. Sleight of hand, gain a Thieves Gloves. Champions holding this item gain health and attack speed. I really like this if I already have another Thieves Gloves or if I already have a glove, and I'll just build a lot of these. Very good for streaking, very good for stage 2 and stage 3 board strength. And then, I mean, still good late game. So Spoils of War 2, already talked about it. Play like a psycho if you take that. Stars Are Born, first 1 and 2 cost champions you buy. Instantly upgraded to 2-star, gain 1 gold. This is very good if you want to reroll 1 and 2 cost units. Also can just give you a lot of tempo because you get a bunch of free 2 stars, can be quite nice. So something about this, if you already have a 1 cost chosen, like let's say you have an Olaf and you're down to reroll Olaf, take this and then it gets you another 2-star Olaf. I can get you really close to your 3-star very quickly. Note that at the time of this video, this might get fixed, but it's bugged, or maybe this is a design intention. But if you take this and you don't have a 1 cost or 2 cost chosen, and then you still have your Stars Are Born active, like it's still ready to 2-star unit, if you buy the chosen, it's basically like you don't have this augment because it'll just create the chosen, which is already a 2-star unit. So be mindful of that. Stationary dummy, gain 1 training dummy and permanently attached support item. Generally find combat augment. Support cache, same thing. Teaming up, gain a random support item, 2 random 4 cost units. Generally find the take. That's Jazz, baby. I'm not going to talk about that one. These are all very specific to compositions. Three's Company, gain a 4 random 3 cost units. This can be fine, especially if 3 costs are very good in the game. Three's a crowd. Your team gains 100 health for each unique 3 cost champion on your board. This is very good if you're going to have a bunch of 3 costs on your board. For example, if you're playing like Country Reroll, there's a lot of 3 costs on that board, so it can be good to take that. Tons of stats, generally good combat augment. You just gain a bunch of stats, that's fine. Too big to fail on death. Bruisers deal 30% of their maximum health, especially and it just deals some damage, still some magic damage. If you're going to play vertical bruisers, it can be quite good. Trade sector, gain a free shop reroll every round, gain 2 gold. I really like this augment in this set because it'll show you more chosens more often. So I really like this. Good for 1 and 2 cost rerolls. Actually, I used to not think it was very good, but I think it is good in this set for that. And then just good for 2 and 3 cost rerolls as well. Also, it just gives you a lot of tempo. Like, you know, you can flex around your chosens a lot. I really like this augment in this set. Twin Terror, this is just double trouble from last set. When you field exactly 2 copies of a champion, they both gain a bunch of stats. Note that this time they gain critical strike chance, so that's interesting. So make sure you enable your unit to be able to crit whenever you take this. So take this if you are re-rolling a powerful unit, and you'll be able to have an open slot to put 2 copies on the board. Can be quite nice. 2 healthy, your team gains 110 health for each unique 2 costs. So if you're going to be playing a lot of 2 costs on your in-game comp, like you're rerolling 2 costs, or you know you're just going to have a lot of 2 costs on your in-game board, can be quite nice. Unified, already talked about it. Vampirism, already talked about. What doesn't kill you? Gain 2 gold after losing a player combat. Gain a random component after every 4 losses. Usually you want to loss streak, try to go on an 8 loss to get this, or you can just go on a 4 loss, get the component, and then start to use that gold advantage and stuff to build a really strong stage 3, stage 4 comp. And then just as you lose rounds throughout the game, you'll get one. I believe you can right click this augment and it'll tell you how close you are to getting a component. You got my bow, gain a recurve bow, your units gain 12% attack speed. So if attack speed is a very valuable stat to your main carry or the rest of your comp, take this, especially if you really are craving a bow, like you have a glove and you really need a last whisper, take it. Same idea with sword, same circumstances, just if you need the sword, you're playing a lot of AD comps, you can benefit a lot from it, or at least your main carry can, and you really need a sword, take it. Prismatic, binary airdrop, combat start, champions holding 2 items, gain a random 3rd completed item, gain 1 random component now. This is very good if you don't already have 3 items committed to like your tank or your carry. You can start to spread your items. Very good with true damage comps because you want to spread your items anyways. Very good if you have a lot of extra items, maybe you played Heart Steals, or maybe the portal is just giving you extra items. Birthday present, gain 2-star champion every time you level up. The champion's cost here is your level minus 4. So just note that once you get to level 9, it will give you a 5 cost. When you get to level 8, we'll give you a 4 cost. Level 7 will give you a 3 cost. Level 5 or level 6 will give you a 2 cost, and everything below that will give you a 1 cost unit upgraded. Usually, whenever you take this, you want to play very up tempo. Try to play. I mean, you won't necessarily be able to win streak. Maybe early game you can win streak, but you want to try to get to that level 8 to get that 4 cost if you can. But just know if you have to roll, you have to roll, man. I don't really necessarily like this augment so much. It's very RNG. Sometimes it's just like you hit all the right stuff that combos with your chosen, and then you can go fast 8, you get a really good one, you can go fast 9. Like sometimes it really works out, but sometimes it doesn't. So just know you're opting into a lot of variance when you take this. Blinding speed, gain a red buff, Gwinsu's Razor Blade, and a recurve bow, and a magnetic remover. So take this if these are very good items for your build. I took this when I was playing Senate Reroll the other day. I didn't have items for her. I took this, built it, went first place in that game. It's actually my most recent YouTube video. It was a crazy game. I beat Nikali 3. You should check it out. It's the funnest game I've played in a long time. Buried Treasures, already talked about it. Caretaker's Chosen. As you level, gain more powerful items. So take this if you... I don't really like this augment that much because you really need to go fast 8 because it says level 8 you get this. It used to be level 7. So take this and you generally want to try to go fast 8. It can be very powerful and you need to win out on 8 whenever you do this. So I don't really like this augment too much in the set. Cruel Pact, bind XP, costs 6 player XP instead of 4 gold. Heal 3 player health for each player combat. Generally, whenever you take this, you want to play like a 3 or 2 cost reroll because you can get a very, very early level 6 and 7. And then you try to win streak on stage 2. Very risky augment to take, but usually is quite good. But you need to know how to make 2 and 3 cost rerolls. If 2 and 3 cost rerolls are very strong, then this can be a very strong augment. I'm not a Cruel Pact gamer, but this could be very good in the current meta. All right, Curse Crown, gain +2 max team size, but take 100% more player damage when you lose a player combat. So take this if you're really strong and you just want to keep streaking. Be very good for that. Can help you get fast 9, something like that. Or if you're in a situation where you already lost so much health and you got to win out no matter, like right now you have to win out. You have to win every round anyways, and you're already at 10 health. Fuck it. It's time. Curse Crown time, baby. Then take it. Already talked about Cybers. Determined Investor. The first time you would have 40 gold at the end of combat, gain a Diamond Hands and 2 random components. So make sure you're able to actually proc this very soon. And then Diamond Hands is a very good item onto a frontline carry, and it'll generate you gold, all that good stuff. Additionally, you could put this on a backline AP carry. It's kind of like, or an AD carry too. It's kind of like a budget Zonia's. It's not as good as Zonia's, better on frontline carries. Endless Horde, gain 3 maximum team size, but your units can only hold 1 item. Their total health is reduced by 15%, gain 4 gold. So this is very good when you're playing verticals because you want your team to be benefiting from their traits because they're not going to be benefiting a lot from their items. So if you're playing like a vertical, it can be quite nice. Or if you want to take this and try to go fast 9 or fast 10, something like that, it can be good for that scenario. But other than that, it's quite weak. Final Ascension, we already talked about Ascension. Final Reserves, the first time you would be eliminated, you instead remain alive. After this happens, gain 70 XP and set your gold to 50. Excess gold is converted to XP. They don't want you to get like crazy with it. So this is really good if you want to, go fast 9, something like that, and build a crazy board. You can do that. Going long, you no longer gain interest. Round start, gain 4 XP. Interest is extra gold you gain per 10 gold. I don't know why I read that. Whenever you take going long, it's very good augments. You can kind of just play aggressive the whole game. It's kind of like March of Progress, but you can just like roll whenever you want to. You can take this to go fast 8. Generally, when I take this, I try to reroll 3 cost whenever I'm doing that. All right, I'm back. Dude, this video is going so long, I had to get up and take a shit in the middle of this. But we were talking about going long. Going long, I know I just talked about it, but I really like this econ augment. It's very fun. It's like March of Progress, but without the restrictions of March of Progress. You don't have to make econ threshold. So like when you play March of Progress, I'll just go ahead and talk about that. March of Progress, once you really want to reroll 3 costs whenever you play March of Progress because you just make your econ thresholds, you get really far ahead on econ, and you just blow all your gold once you're at level 7. March of Progress, you actually can get level 8 pretty early now too. So, but still you want to really only 3 costs very good. You can blow a lot of gold on 7, blow a lot of gold on 8, and it just feels really good. But going long, it's like the same thing, but you can just blow your gold whenever because you can't generate interest. So if you need to roll on 5, roll on 5. And you're rolling 6, roll on 6. And you're rolling 7, roll on 7. If you're really far ahead, you can use your XP to push levels. It just gives you a lot of decision power. So I really like it. Okay, next up is Pharmacist. Already talked about it. Hedge Fund, gain 20 gold. Your max interest is up to 10 gold. So it's the same idea as Rich Get Richer. You use this, try to maximize the interest, lose some health, and then build a win out comp. And you probably won't be able to utilize this interest cap again, but you just use this interest to build a really, really powerful comp and then win out after that. And if you're like crazy far ahead, you can win out and then start building interest again, but we'll see. And these are all the same. All right, next up is Hologram. Create a clone of your headliner champion with 100 and 130% of its base health. You cannot equip items on the clone. So I think this is pretty good whenever you're playing a vertical, like if you're playing like a 7 Spellweaver comp and you have like headliner or Ari. Having 2 Aries on your board and a 7 Spellweaver, 3 KDA or 5 KDA, something like that can be quite strong. But I don't think it's quite as good if you're playing like a horizontal comp with a lot of different traits active. I don't like this augment a whole lot. It also can be really good for tempo in the early game. You have like a Kennen Chosen, you get two Kennens on your board. That's quite strong. But I don't necessarily like this one too much. Next up is in Penetrable Bulwark. You gain a Bramble Vest, a Dragon's Claw, and a Giant Spell, and a Magnetic Remover. I really like this if I'm taking something like, binary airdrop, gives me extra items. Or if I just have no tank items and I'm just sitting here with 6 carry items, okay, cool, let's go. All right, Infernal Contract, your max level is 7, gain 75 gold. Very good if you're rerolling 2 and 3 costs. So if you want to do that, take this and then just like get a whole board of 3 stars. There you go. Jewel Lotus, already talked about it. Level up, when you buy XP, gain 2 additional XP, gain 8 immediately. So generally, whenever you take this, you want to econ. You want to take this on stage 2. You're going to econ on stage 2 as much as you can. You know, like lost streak, whatever, and then you blow your gold to get a fast 8 or get a really early level 7. And you can roll for another board. And you know, if you're really far ahead for whatever reason, you take this and you're win streaking or whatever. You know, you can go fast 9. You get this offered in the middle of the game, like stage 3 or something like that. You know, just hold on to your gold. And if you have an angle to go fast 9 or fast 10, something like that, then like make sure you don't level up before 3-2. And 4-2, like just hold your XP. That's why you'll see a lot of pro players just holding their XP just in case they get this augment. So you would only take this on stage 3 or stage 4 if you're really far ahead and you're like, oh, okay, I can go fast 9 now. Or if you just don't have anything better to take and you're like, I guess I'm going to have to just get an early level, you know, like whatever, I can be fine as well. Living Forge, gain an artifact now and in every 10 player combat. So if the artifact items are good, just look at stats. If they are really good, then this augment is good. Okay, Lucky Gloves. These gloves will always give your champions ideal items, gain 2 sparring gloves. This is a very good win streak thing to take, especially if you already have a glove component on your bench, because you can build 2 of them very early on in the game. Usually when you take this, you want to streak with this on stage 2. So if you can't build a really strong board, then maybe not take this. But it is very good. It can be very good. It can be very, very, very good. So yeah, it can be very powerful, especially if you have a glove component. March of Progress, we really already talked about this, but I'll just say what it does. Gain 3 XP now, and then bonus XP equal to the level at the start of player combat each round. So generally, you want to re-roll 3 costs whenever you play this because you blow a lot of gold on 7. Leveling intervals are now different, so you actually get level 8 on stage 4 pretty early, I believe. I forget exactly what it is. I think it's like 4 or 5. You get level 8, so something like that. So, but you still have great odds on level 8. You actually have the best odds for 3 costs on level 8. So you can just blow your gold on 7 and 7 and 8 for 3 cost reroll. Usually, you could play a 4 cost comp if you end up getting, you know, being pretty healthy, but you know, usually just blow your gold on 7 for 3 costs. New recruit, gain 1 max champion size and a champion duplicator. This is generally fine to take, especially good if you already have a copy of a legendary unit or you want to play legendary comp or you already have a champion duplicator. You can be like, okay, I'm playing a 2-star legendary. Also just very good if like your comp will really benefit from having a fawn. But generally it's always fine to take. Overwhelming Force, gain a Deathblade and Infinity Edge and a BF Sword. So take this if you have, you know, good AD direction, but you have no AD items, then take this. Or if you have you know, multiple carries that can use AD units. Like for example, if you're, I know I keep bringing this up because I reroll a lot of Senna. Rerolling Senna and Aphelios, which I don't even think Aphelios is that good, but if you're rerolling both of them and you only have Senna items and tank items and you have a 3-star Aphelios, no items. Okay, now you have a 3-star Aphelios with 2 items. Very cool. Also very good with binary airdrop. Pandora's items, already talked about this. Same thing, you just gain a radiant item this time. Freaky Friday and Freaky Friday Plus, we'll talk about these both. Gain an Infinity Force after 5 player combats, gain another. This is very good if you're playing a duo carry comp that is in the same vertical or something like that. Like, I really like this, you know, if you're playing like Crowd Divers or something like that, you can take Freaky Friday. Like I did that last time I was playing Katarina reroll, took 1 for Cat, took 1 for Zed. You know, I think it's better on AD comps, but it's fine on any comp. So if you have a duo carry that you really think they could benefit from extra items, you're good to go. Prismatic Ticket, take it if you're rerolling, pump it up. Already talked about it. Radiant Relics, choose 1 of 5 radiant items, gain a magnetic remover. This is really good if you're really hurting for an item, really hurting for like a carry item or really hurting for a tank item. Tank items aren't really that good right now, but if you're really hurting for a carry item, this can be really good to take. I took this last night in a game I was really hurting for a carry item and give you direction. Has a magnetic remover as well. So also if you really need a magnetic remover, like you have like this is like more relevant in this set because if you have a 2-star carry that you committed 3 items that you also have their chosen version and you don't want to sell the 2-star because you're looking for a 3-star, this can be very good just a magnetic remove as well. Roll the dice, gain a Rascal Gloves item that equips 2 radiant items every round. Same thing with the other like TG style augments. It's very good if you're playing a duo carry, but you don't have items to play that duo carry, or you have a very powerful unit that you just can't build items for. I think it's a little bit better on frontline units because you'll roll a lot of frontline items sometimes. Very good combo with Lucky Gloves, obviously. But yeah, so this is generally pretty good. I like this augment. Spoils of War 3, don't really like this one as much. You need to play like an absolute psychopath when you take this. I prefer the other 2 versions of Spoils of War that we already talked about. Starter kit, gain a 4-cost champion and a 2-star 1-cost champion that shares a trait with them at the start of the next 2 stages. Gain a 4-cost champion again. So by the time stage 4 happens, you will have a 2-star 4-cost for free. I don't necessarily like this augment that much because I really like to play very flexibly in this set. But keep an eye on this. This could be very good because getting a 2-star 4-cost at stage 4 or at the beginning of stage 4 is actually not as common as it used to be because people are rolling on 7 or they go 8 with not a lot of gold on 4-2. It's actually hard to 2-star 4-cost that early in the game. So this could end up being very strong, but I don't necessarily like taking this because I think it takes, I really like to play this set very flexibly. So stage change support, we already talked about this. Talent search, all of your champions gain their unique headliner effect. In addition, your headliner gains 100 health and 10% attack speed. Very good if you have a lot of, it's very good. This is very good later in the game because you'll have a bunch of high cost units like 4 costs and stuff. Or if you're re-rolling a lot of units and then you take it later in the game, like a lot of the re-rolls actually have better headliner effects than the late game units. But some of the late game units like Thresh, for example, has minus 25 max mana. That's pretty good. But if you're playing like, let's say you're playing like reroll rapid fires, and I'll keep bringing this up because I understand this build very well. Let's say you're actually main carrying Aphelios for whatever reason. And let's say you are, and you have a 3-star Senna with 3 items. Senna's headliner effect is insane. It's so good, but she's not your headliner, but now you get her headliner effect. Then boom, there you go. But I think this is better taken later in the game because you'll have just more units that are benefiting from the effect. Golden egg, gain a golden egg that hatches in 11 turns for a huge amount of loot. Winning player combat speeds up the hatch timer an extra turn. This is very good when you're really far ahead. Don't take this when you're like 40 health and you're not super strong. If you're like 90 health, stage 4, and you're strong, all right, it's golden egg time, baby. And it's usually guaranteed first if you can make a board around it. But unless you're that far ahead, don't ever take this augment. Twin Terror, already talked about it. Unleash Arcana, same idea with all the other ones. You know, if you have an AP carry that needs AP items, or you just really need some carry items, really need some direction, take this. Also very good at binary hairdrop. Wellness Trust, round start, gain 3 gold. If you have at least 40 gold, heal for 2 player health. I believe you can only be offered this on 3-2 and 4-2. So take this if you just want more econ or you're really far ahead and you know, you can just really leverage this. It can be very good if you want to like go fast 9 or something like that. What the Forge completed items you own, except the emblems and tack crown, are transformed into random artifacts. Champions gain 110 health per equipped artifact. So take this if you have a lot of extra items. And then also, this is another one where you need to look at stats to see if the artifacts are very strong at that time. If the artifacts are very strong, then it's very good. But a time when you don't want to take this is if you already have like best in slot. Like, you know, you have like, you're playing Katarina reroll, you have best in slot cat items. Don't take this shit. But if you have terrible items, you're like, oh, my items are terrible. What am I supposed to do? What the Forge? Oh, let's go. Especially if artifacts are good. But anyways, guys, that is it for the augment video. I believe I covered every single augment. And yeah, I hope this was helpful to you guys. Check out my other guides on the channel. Check out my stream. I stream on YouTube and Twitch. It's higher quality on YouTube. If you guys have ever like tuned into my Twitch stream or something like that. Unfortunately, they use different encoders, and I don't have a 2 PC setup, and I don't want to compromise the quality on YouTube. So it ends up looking really crisp on YouTube and then not as great on Twitch, which is because that's a downscale for Twitch, because unless you're a partner, they don't want you to stream at really high settings. But on YouTube, you have to stream at really high settings for video game stream. So anyways, I was just throwing that out there if you guys want to watch my stream. Anyways, if you guys want to watch my stream, I would love that. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one and good luck climbing this set, boys.